العظما سید علی حسینی خامنه ای در راه سربلندی حرم جمهوری اسلامی ایران شهد گوارای شهادت را نوشیدند و به ملکوت اعلی پیوستند.
Then on top of that, the Israeli Defense Force confirmed via X that all of Iran's senior leaders, Axis coalition, who are in power, I guess were in power, have been eliminated. That is over 16 top officials. Just think about that in the structure of your country. Imagine your country's 16 top officials gone. And if you think about it, that means in the first 3 months of 2026, we had Maduro in January, then we had El Muncho in February, and then on the last day of the month, so basically March, we had the supreme leader all gone. Now, I'd love to get into what, their supreme leader dying means for Iran and dive into it deeper, but we've got so much to go through. We need to just crack through this. Now, talking about Iran's fatalities, the US have recorded their first official fatalities as well. The US Central Command have reported that 4 service members as of March the 2nd have been killed, but they did not reveal how they were killed, what country this was in, or their identities. They said this was out of respect for their families and until their next of kin have been notified. 5 other US service members have sustained minor injuries like shrapnel injuries and concussions, but they are already being processed and then put back on duty. Now, Trump has acknowledged these deaths and then warned there will likely be more.
And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization.
Also, we heard that 3 US military aircraft have been shot down in Kuwait. Now, this was confirmed by both the US military and the Ministry of Defense in Kuwait, and videos show 3 F-15E fighter jets spiraling to the ground while on fire as their pilots ejected to safety. Now, an official Kuwait spokesperson said that they launched a search and rescue for these pilots, and images from the scene show them, these pilots being placed into the back of vehicles and then being transferred to hospital. Now, important to know that it is being confirmed that all of these pilots have survived. But here's the thing, whenever an F-15 or any military aircraft is shot down, it is a very significant moment. Not only because, the modern F-15s are about $90 million, but also they were shot down by friendly fire. It was actually Kuwait's missile defense system, and another crazy point on that, it was the US that gave them that missile defense system. So It's all going off. Also, since this war is kicked off, the price of oil and gas has skyrocketed. Now, Qatar, who actually accounts for about 20% of the global supply of liquefied natural gas, they've had to pause production, and that is because an Iranian missile and drone hit some of their facilities. And then the same thing for Saudi. Actually, there was intercepted missiles. The debris fell into one of their largest oil refineries and caused a huge fire. They had to temporarily halt production of, oil as well. To make it worse, Iran is now shut down and also attacked ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, as you're probably already aware, is one of the most important shipping lanes for oil in the entire world. Meaning, all of this kind of taken into account on Monday when the markets finally reopened. They often start this kind of stuff when markets are closed on the weekend, just a little future tidbit. But oil prices have jumped and stock markets have dipped. Price for gas spiked sharply, and at one point it even peaked at 42% above the price it was on Friday. Brent crude oil also went up by about 13% and reached about $82 per barrel, which is the highest it's been in 14 months. This is on the first day, remember. Then we also got reports from Iran that the US hacked their national television feed as this was all going down and then broadcasted a speech from Trump. They even put Arab subtitles in there. Now, Trump made a direct statement to the people of Iran saying that the US is backing them and, quote, now is the time to unlock a glorious future for the country. They also reportedly broadcasted a speech from Benjamin Netanyahu, and it's pretty crazy that the capabilities that the US and Israel have, they just hack their national television, play it to the mass. That's wild. Also, we got some pretty insane visuals coming from the US where Iranians are celebrating in the streets of LA in support of Trump and obviously the death of the supreme leader. And then during a similar demonstration in Austin, Texas, a CBS reporter named Vinny, he is being praised after he seemingly refused to obey a text message from his superiors, which instructed him not to focus on the pro-Trump celebrations.
What's that mean?
It means they don't want us to focus on this.
Well, I am.
And then, probably in the most significant update over the weekend, the war is widening and fast. Now, what started as a conflict between three countries, the US, Israel, and Iran, has now dragged in a staggering 13 into the fallout. And by the time you're watching this, that number might even be higher. And today marked a major escalation because Iran struck UK military bases in Cyprus, meaning for the first time, this war has now officially touched European territory. Now, in response, the UK has authorized the United States to use its bases to help destroy Iran's missile systems. And then, as for Cyprus, because obviously this was on their island, a member of the European Parliament for Cyprus is now calling for a response. And that's not even the only major development today because Lebanon, they've been the latest country to be dragged into this. After Hezbollah, which are obviously located in Lebanon, they launched strikes on Israel today in solidarity with Iran. Then, of course, there is NATO. We got their first remarks on this whole situation after their Secretary General. He called Iran a threat to Europe, Israel, and the wider region, saying Europe is now really stepping up after this weekend's operations. But then he was asked if NATO forces would get involved themselves, and he made it very clear. He said this is being led by the United States and Israel. So for now, NATO is staying out of it. It's also probably worth noting that at this point, all the way from, I don't know whether we want to say it's from Israel or Cyprus now, but all the way from Israel or Cyprus down to Pakistan and Afghanistan, that is just war zones. That's 3,000 miles of war zones, because as we spoke about on Saturday's episode, Pakistan and Afghanistan, they've declared an open war. So, crazy. Anyway, this situation is developing so fast, which is why this video is potentially with you on Monday and not Tuesday. I don't even know when I'm able to get this to you, but yeah. There's going to be a lot more updates on Thursday's episode or Wednesday, depending on how much things kick off. But yeah, for any breaking news, go follow me on Instagram or TikTok. But for now, moving on. Now, let's talk about this whole Jim Carrey situation, because this has been a roller coaster, as if we didn't have enough trust issues with the world, with AI, with mistrust of the media. Turns out, this video might have never been Jim Carrey. Let me explain. So as you have probably seen by now, over the past few days, there's been this viral moment and it's caused chaos online. You know, there's Jim, he's speaking to the press after receiving this honorary award in Paris. Now, people were questioning, why does he look so different, especially since this was his first public appearance in months. Some people chalked it up to the cosmetic procedures of Hollywood. We've seen that too many times. And then others, started claiming that he actually been replaced. Now, the people making the body double replacement claims, they started getting called conspiracy theorists. Like, come on, guys. Because the body double theory, this is not the first time that's been claimed.
I've done this a few times now, and it's using a decoy.
I'm sorry, a decoy?
Using a decoy. It sounds so ridiculous, but it works like a
like a double.
It's fantastic.
Like a Jim Carrey double.
A Jim Carrey double.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
And is I send him off in one direction, sucks all the press in that direction, and I can just have my day.
But come the 2nd of March, we may or may not owe those conspiracy theorists an apology. And you'll see what I mean. Because a famous impersonator posted a picture of himself on Instagram disguised as Jim Carrey with the caption saying, "Alexis Stone as Jim Carrey in Paris." Bro, this is not what humanity needs right now, because our eyes, our own two eyes, are already fighting battles. We're on the front lines when it comes to AI. We don't know what to trust anymore. But now you're telling me we've got to distrust real videos and images too? And so just when we were thinking like, damn, he got us. He really got us. There might have been a complete twist, because now people are claiming that what Alexis Stone posted is AI and that he is lying and that actually is the real Jim Carrey. God damn it! Now, it would be real nice if Jim Carrey or his team could just come out and be like, was that you or not? Because we're getting really sick of this
corn casserole.
Now, one thing that we do know is that the general delegate of the award ceremony told Variety that it was Jim Carrey. They said that this event had been planned for months in advance and that the clone rumor is nonsense. So was it Jim Carrey on stage and then the Alexis Stone interview, that was the body double? I don't know, man. We just don't know yet until Jim Carrey comes out and confirms it. Point is, we don't know what to believe. That is why you're subscribed to this channel, because we can help. Right in this instance, at least you don't know. It's kind of 50-50. Anyway, you'll know when we know, and we'll be doing the deep dive, you know it. Moving on. Okay, this next one is incredibly important. You see, a lot of citizens have been asking, what improvements is the Empire making in the Big 26? I am very glad you asked, because introducing the Empire Support Hub for emotionally exhausted peasants. Trademark. Sheep for short. You see, we talk about a lot of pretty crazy shit on this channel, and we sacrifice a lot of lambs too. And over time, that takes a toll. So, whenever you're feeling weary and you just can't take it anymore, we have created a hotline for you to unload your emotional baggage. Lambline at protonmail.com. And yes, I'm glad you noticed, we have a group sponsor, Proton Mail. Yeah, we can now upgrade from plastic chairs to metal ones. But also, because we need sheep to be a safe and secure place, with Proton Mail, your trauma dumping will be end-to-end encrypted. No one's gonna see your dirt. And if we use Gmail, you'd probably be getting advertisements for therapy the next day, because they can read all your stuff. And so when contacting Lambline at protonmail.com, I don't want to see any Gmails, all right? So make sure right now you sign up with Proton Mail. It's completely free, and it literally is a couple clicks for you to transfer all of your emails, your contacts, your calendar. Done. And I'm telling you, even outside of sheep, much like the Emperor, Proton Mail is one of the most trusted and secure email providers in the entire world. So share your pain with us today at Lambline at protonmail.com. Moving on! Also over the weekend, like there wasn't enough going on, there was a horrific shooting in Austin, Texas. 3 people were killed and 14 were injured after a gunman opened fire at a beer garden at about 2 a.m. on Sunday. But here's the thing, we're now learning that this shooting may have a pretty wild twist. The FBI are now investigating this as a potential act of terrorism with links to You guessed it, Iran. Still unconfirmed, but that's what they are investigating it for. Now, the individual who was shot and killed by authorities at the scene, which it was about less than 1 minute in response from when this was kicking off to when police arrived. I read it was about 58 seconds, 53 seconds, which... well done, police. But the shooter has been identified as a 53-year-old naturalized American citizen originally born in Senegal. Now, the Department of Homeland Security said that he first entered the US in 2000 on a tourist visa, but became a lawful permanent resident 6 years later, and he married a US citizen. Now, according to eyewitness testimony, he drove past the bar in his SUV several times before opening fire on the bar from within the car. He then drove it around the corner, parked up, and then got out with a rifle and then continued with the attack. And we've also since learned that the shooter wore a t-shirt with an Iranian flag and Iran spelt out in green, white, and red across the front. He also apparently wore a sweatshirt which read "Property of Allah" on it, which is kind of why they are investigating this as a terrorism incident. But yeah, this is still being investigated. There's nothing confirmed. We don't know if it is or isn't officially yet, but of course, I'll give you guys an update when we know. Moving on. And then also just to wrap up the main news of the weekend, Bill Clinton, he testified. And as I promised you guys, I'd give you an update on how that went. Now, just like with his wife Hillary, the entire hearing had to be kept private, and we don't have any transcriptions yet. We don't have any video footage yet. Those things are still being worked through. I believe they will be released at some point to the public. But what we do know from the press that was in there is that just like his wife, he denied any wrongdoing. Bill also apparently told Congress that he knew nothing and he did nothing wrong. He was asked about all of these photos with him, in the swimming pool, in a hot tub, whilst these individuals' faces were redacted, and he reportedly said that he didn't know this woman in the hot tub and he never slept with her. Hearing an iconic phrase in my head right now. Alex, you know what I'm talking about. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong.
Now, he did admit that he was on the plane. I mean, it's pretty hard not to admit. But then he said that he never would have flown on his plane if he had any inkling of what he was doing, referring to Epstein. He actually even went as far to say that he would have turned Epstein in himself if he knew. Now, the line of questioning went on for about 6 hours, similar to Hillary. But what's different about Bill than Clinton is that Bill never spoke to the press after, so we don't really have any official comments from him. According to James Comer, the Republican chairman, he said that Bill answered every question and was cooperative. But yeah, a full transcript of the entire hearing will be released in a few days. I do believe so. And that's going to be pretty interesting to see, read, and hear. But yeah, I think that is a wrap for today's episode. It's been a tiring weekend. Lot is going on. So I'll just keep you guys updated when we know more. But let's cue that beautiful outro song. Let's start the